My name's Oscar Orellana-Hyder. I am the co-founder of Cordell Partners, Executive Search. Been in the region coming up to 10 years in November. Through different guises, two big multinational firms. I opened the first headhunting recruitment business in the ADGM in Abu Dhabi, 2019. And Cordell is all about that. It's all about human capital, people coming through from all over the world into the ADGM and the DIFC. So in 2.5 years, we've only focused on building the UAE ecosystem. So for now, only Abu Dhabi and Dubai. So I haven't done any work in Saudi since 2018.
Okay.
For whatever reason.
Might be a good thing, who knows? But so obviously, given the focus in the UAE and the reasoning, I guess your original sort of career started within the investment area, the venture capital, private equity, that's obviously been a focus of your talent and recruitment. What have you seen change over the last few years, and then more specifically maybe in the last sort of 6 months or so?
Sure, okay. If I take the first one, the last few years, I think what is remarkable change is the new entrants to the region. I think constantly, year on year, the DIFC put their numbers out last week, there's a 20% increase on new entrants coming in. So on average, it's about 150 to 170 new Cat 3C, Cat 3As, investment managers who are setting up in the DIFC and Abu Dhabi, the ADGM. So the wave, and that's from Asia managers coming through, European GPs and LP community coming through, family offices. As I said earlier, 30% of our work last 12 months is now family offices, and that's across single family office and multi-family office. So the last few years, it's the increased appetite and demand for European, Asian, some North American, not as many, but they're definitely coming through more so, is one. And then if I may, the second part of that question is the asset classes. So private credit over the last 2 to 3 years has become really, really appetizing in Abu Dhabi. Obviously the hedge fund managers for the last sort of maybe 5 or 6 years that have come in. Again, that's a massive increase of our portfolio, both non-investment and investment hires. 6 months is tricky. 6 months is not a long time in the Middle East. Like, you can't judge too much of a track record in 6 months. I'd say more regulation on the virtual asset side. So virtual asset funds, crypto funds are going to be overseen by the FATF, the Federal Action Task Force, this summer, and that will include virtual assets. So virtual asset and digital asset fund compliance and risk and framework has been a real change in the last 6 months. Really challenging, if I'm honest, for us.
It's a new asset class, it's new regulation, everything's new, isn't it?
Exactly. And the regulator is new. So VARA is one of the first in the world to properly establish that, but they're only really 3 or 4 years old. So it's sometimes it's very sort of TradFi leading DeFi, which is a whole different conversation.
From the sort of talent element of that, obviously, if you've got new regulation in new companies, can you find experienced people that can tackle this, or where do you even start? Do you go homegrown? Do you go buy-in? What do you do?
It's very challenging, and thank you. You've just highlighted the two most common. I always say, look, the country's 50 years old, right? The DIFC and DFSA is probably around 23, 24 years old. ADGM is 10 years old. It's still very nascent. However, there's talent here. It's a shallow pool. There aren't a depth of talent that we have in other geographies that are going to tick all of those boxes if you're a virtual asset fund manager. So exhaust the talent that's on the ground, try and find that unicorn that's an Arabic speaker, that has parents here, that's been in the industry, and only then, if you don't find them in those two pools, ADGM, DIFC, locally, then go international. But then you always run that risk of flight risk, the family doesn't like it, there's potential there is an element of risk they might go back in 6 to 12 months because of whatever it may be. So I always say, to offset that risk, they're already established here, they have the family settled, the kids are happy in schools, try and find them here. If it doesn't exist, then of course we can do a global search. The thing with, it's a really hard line to balance on, right? Developed talent, UK, Europe, Asia, they have the expertise because they have the depth of resources around there, but they won't have the local knowledge. So you're going to have to sacrifice one thing or the other, either way you go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess as we are sitting here at the Family Office Summit, and you just mentioned that family offices are becoming an increasingly large element of your work, it's obviously quite fitting, I guess, that you're here. What's your purpose for being here today?
Yeah, it's great. I'm a big believer in family business. So Cordell's a family name, by the way. So Cordell is my father's middle name. It's my middle name. The ethos and the way that the UAE has welcomed, feels like half of the population of the UK and Europe to their home, in terms of raising investment, in terms of establishing a presence here, you'll know very quickly it's a very familiar culture. They welcome you in, they want to know about you, they want to know about the family before they invest, before they set you up, before anything really. Family offices from other geographies have become way more prevalent, from Asia, from Europe, set up multi-family offices, have JV'd with Emiratis as well. So I suppose to answer your question, 10 years ago when I first got here, it was very small. They wouldn't want to talk to people like me, and it was very much insular, and they did what they did themselves, and they were happy with that. I think fast forward 10 years, the local families, especially, the generational shift is clear for everyone to see. The appetite that the younger, if the principal or the patriarch passes away, the younger generation wants exposure or has an appetite to virtual assets, to hedge funds, different private credits, CLOs, different asset classes, so they have more appetite. And when that happens, when they want to JV or when they want to co-invest, they have to go into a regulated entity, ADGM or DIFC. So when that comes along, they need more structure and more framework to institutionalize, sometimes not always, but to legitimize. Let's be honest, not necessarily Emirati families, but global families coming in since the war in Russia and Ukraine. So to answer your question, why am I here? To meet more families, to help them grow, to help them become more robust, the framework to be more sort of regulator ready for when they want to apply for that ADGM license, to grow the ecosystem within this community. It's a fascinating community. Can be very volatile, obviously, family principles and patriarchs, but it's incredibly rewarding. Some of the people that I placed over the years, they have some amazing experiences. Like, no exaggeration, it's like yachts in Monaco, Formula One. It's sort of organising multi-million-dollar golf courses in wherever, Europe. It's quite remarkable. Obviously, I see none of that. Yes, sounds horrific. I see none of that, but I live vicariously through their stories, and it's like, wow, this is amazing.
And then final question, obviously we're about 2/3 of the way through the event schedule at the moment. What's the standout phrase or caption that you've heard so far today?
Yeah, I think, and by the way, I've spoken a lot, I'm not crypto bro at all, but it's like second point that I mentioned on virtual assets. And I think what one of the panelists was saying earlier was that investing in the plumbing and the spades and the picks and the infrastructure around virtual assets, not necessarily investing in the virtual assets themselves, I think that's going to be constantly really, really important over the way. So it was one of the panels just finished just then on the new wave of gaming in the UAE, and they are investing in the infrastructure around the next phase of virtual asset and gaming across Abu Dhabi. So that really stood out for me so far.
Fantastic. Thank you very much
and
for
again,
joining me.
He's not from the region, right? He started from another continent, Australia. So he brings a lot of knowledge with him. You know, he's imparting a lot on this ecosystem, and hopefully the UAE is educating Australia as well on certain things. So yeah, brilliant, really good.
Excellent. Thanks very much for joining me.
Not at all. Thank you. Appreciate it.